and welcome to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast with me, Errol Lawson, where 3 times a week we bring you inspirational interviews with some of the world's most influential Christian leaders from church-based leadership, business, and academia. Now, before we go into today's interview, I've got a question for you. Do you have a coach? You see, the greatest sportsmen, athletes, and every single one of the leaders I've interviewed on this podcast have all had coaches to improve their performance and help them get better results. Now, the number one distinction that I've found from interviewing all these leaders, the top level leaders, and between those and the emerging leaders, is not that they're more qualified necessarily, or they've got more contacts or a better background. The number one distinction is that top level leaders are clearer about who they are, where they're going, and what they need to do to get there. Clarity makes all the difference. Now listen, if you're looking to go to your next level and you're looking for a coach right now, I want you to contact me today to book a free 30-minute coaching session where I'll help you to get clarity in an area of your leadership or personal life that you're looking for right now. Simply email me at errol@errollawson.com today with a subject ready to get started, and we'll get you booked straight in. Enjoy today's podcast. Hello and welcome to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast again today with my special guest, Samuel Leeds. Samuel is a property investor and the founder and director of Training Kings, which he started back in 2014. Training Kings has grown ever since and is currently the largest Christian business network of its kind in the whole of England. Samuel continues to invest in property, but has also founded the Property Investors Crash Course for people who want to learn how to become financially free through property. So Samuel, great to have you today, my friend.
Great to be on the show, buddy.
How you doing?
Excellent.
Good, man. Good. Fill in any gaps, first of all, in your bio, and give us a glimpse into your world, what you're up to right now.
Yeah, well, I'm up to right now. Well, as you mentioned, I run Training Kings, which is a Christian business network, and really just about inspiring and equipping Christians to be successful in business. So it's busy, it's buzzing, it keeps me out of trouble, and we've got a whole bunch of branches set up in the Midlands, and what I'm doing right now is trying to take this template and this philosophy and this brand really and take it national, because I think it's really needed.
Fantastic, man. We're going to talk more about Training Kings, but let's just go back to the beginning and tell us, where did it all start? I know you said you're a Christian. Have you always been a Christian? What's been your journey?
Yeah, sure. I became a Christian at 17 years old, and I wasn't at a conference, I wasn't at a big event, I hadn't just heard a gospel preacher. I was just in my bedroom about to go to bed, and the Holy Spirit showed up, and I really believed that God called me, and I just felt him speak straight to my heart saying, "Samuel, follow me." And I couldn't, because I was this sinful, angry thug at 17 years old that had no Christ-likeness about me whatsoever, and although I liked the idea of being a Christian, I just wasn't cut out to be. So, we had this conversation, me and God, and it went something like this: "Follow me." "I can't." "Follow me." "Listen," and I said to God, "I can't be a Christian because of how I am, but if you want to change me, I give you permission to do that." And as soon as I gave God permission to do that, because of course I couldn't do it in my own strength anyway, boom, my heart changed from a heart of stone to a heart of flesh, and suddenly the cross and the gospel became alive and real. And when I realised how much God loved me, then suddenly I had a flowing love for people. And went to Bible college for 3 years, went on a ton of mission trips, spent a lot of time in India, the slums of India, around Punjab, Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, on mission trips, going out just loving people really, and being Christ as much as we can, and that's basically how I became a Christian.
Massive. Yeah, that sounds life-changing. Those experiences, how did you go from sort of traveling, ministry, missionary work, Bible school into the whole world of business?
Okay, well, the two go hand in hand. My faith and my business go hand in hand. And how it started was I was out travelling. I was getting involved with charities and building orphanages in India and going around Africa doing things. And I soon ran out of money. And that's just the way of the world. I mean, a lot of people lack time and lack money. So when it got to that point, I had two options. I could either get sponsors and burden the church with my lack of money, or I could get off my butt and do something about it myself, and have a business and be a tent maker and fund my own projects, and not just fund myself but also have enough left over to be able to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, set people free in Jesus' name. So that's what I did. Set up business, and that has always, for me, my business has been part of my ministry. So,
well, how easy was that? A lot of time, people who are, if you like, spiritually minded, find it difficult to transition into a place of wealth creation. Yeah. How was that transition for you?
I think there definitely is that. A lot of people find there's a conflict between making money and being in the business world, because that's hard-nosed and money's dirty, but then they wear a different hat in church, and it's, if I'm speaking at a Christian conference or a church and I'm asked to preach on the same Samuel Leeds as when I'm speaking at a business conference, that's part of why I set Training Kings up. It's about bringing the two together. So business, if you're a good business owner, doesn't mean you're a hard-nosed, greedy guy.
Did you think you had the skill and the understanding of money back then, before you came into business?
No, I thought exactly that. I thought being a business owner was hard-nosed and this, that and the other. It was only when I realised that actually, to make money in business, you need to be a person of value. Right. And if you can add value to people, add value to the marketplace, the money will follow. Right. And Albert Einstein says, don't try and be a person of success. Try and be a person of value, and the success follows. Right. So, absolutely, I don't believe there is an opposition between business, between wealth creation, and between ministry, between being a Christian. I think the two can go, not for everybody, but the two can go hand in hand, certainly for me, certainly for most people in Training Kings.
It's great, man. And along your journey from where you were as a 17-year-old to coming to faith and then to business and to where you are now, has there been like a significant turning point for you? Where maybe you were heading in one direction and something happened, a revelation, something happened that caused you to change direction, completely go in a different direction?
Yeah. I guess from the very early, I've been on the same sort of path. Kind of, obviously, we turn and we have new revelations, but when I first became a Christian, I was in this period of, right, I'm a Christian, I've got a fire in my heart, shut up in my bones, I want to do something, I want to serve the Lord, I want to do something big, but I didn't know what that was. So I had this period in my life as a teenager, which was, here I am, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I was hearing back, nothing. So that was a period in my life. I was seeking and pressing in for the will of God, and I was fasting, but I was hearing nothing and had no purpose. I had no vision in my life. I had no direction. I was just there with a fire, but no meat on the bones, no project, nothing to get my teeth into, no direction. And I think a lot of people are in that same place. Probably a lot of people that are listening now, they know that they've got a leader within them, and they want to lead something, and they've got the passion, but they just don't know exactly what to do. So that's where I was. And
what happened next? How did you navigate that? What happened? So you had that. You were in that place. How did you navigate through that?
Well, by realising that God is not sat-nav, and God doesn't say left, right, do this, do that. Actually, rather than trying to look for God, what's your will for my life? Instead, I realised that I had to look for God, not God's will. And as I developed intimacy with Christ, as I understood God's character, as I transformed and renewed my mind, His will was just revealed. And one of the ways was I was waiting for a booming voice from heaven. I was waiting for Samuel, and that I don't think that's how God speaks. I believe that your calling, your purpose, what it is that you're meant to do, is not a booming voice, but it's what you see. And if you see a need for something, that's because that's what you're supposed to do. So I see, when I went to Africa, I was touched, and I've got a real heart for Africa. That's what I see. So I've now got a charity in Africa. We went out just a few months ago. We built a well, take teams out and do that because that's what I saw. Some people don't see that. They see the homeless people in England, or they see so many things, the sex trafficking. What it is that you see, what it is that you think someone should do that, I say, hey, you're the person you've been waiting for, buddy, get on with it. Absolutely. So when I realised that God's given me the green light to follow what I see, and obviously we walk with God, that was when I started thinking, right, well, what do I see? And then when I would see things, I'd have the Richard Branson philosophy, which is screw it, let's do it. And I guess that was a real... I was over-spiritual before, praying, waiting for a booming voice from heaven, fasting and expecting to see angels that would suddenly give me a scroll that would tell me where to go. And then when I realised that God is a practical God, and that was a real change.
It's great, man.
Yeah.
And what's been your biggest challenge along your leadership journey so far?
My biggest challenge? That's a tough question. Biggest challenge in my leadership? I guess as a leader, taking your ego out of it, taking pride out of it, that can be a challenge. Keeping your quiet time in the mornings and making sure that it is, because sometimes you can set out to do a God thing and it can end up being a Samuel thing. That's a challenge. Making sure that's never the case. I would say being available and vulnerable. A challenge is when people slander you, or when people speak badly of you, knowing that you don't have to defend yourself because God's got your back, God's on your side. That's a challenge. Being able to just say, well, I think, it's lessons and challenges, those sorts of things, which happen. You sometimes think it's all going to be rosy, but if you are doing anything that's of meaning and purpose and value and of going to be effective, you're going to have opposition. You're going to have people saying, oh, that's rubbish, that's a waste of time. Hey, why don't you do it differently? Why don't you do this? And that's going to happen. So
in dealing with opposition as a leader, what's been your biggest lesson you've learned in that process of actually dealing with opposition?
I guess it's knowing the people who you need, the certain people. You need to have people around you who you are accountable to. So if my mom says, hey, Samuel, you shouldn't be doing that, or the way you acted there was not right, I'll listen and I'll take it to heart. If somebody that I don't know says it, I'll listen, but I won't let it get to me. I won't overthink it, because and I think really... I can't remember the question. Did you say?
So the lesson about...
Yeah, the lesson in it, I would say, just have people around you that can be frank with you, that can rebuke you and call you out, and but don't let everybody be in that position, because I used to sometimes have sleepless nights because someone had said something, really unkind to me, and I'd be thinking, don't assume that everybody's on your side, because they're not.
Right.
And don't take things to heart. Listen, but don't take things to heart.
Are you seriously fired up about developing leaders and growing your church to the next level? Could you do with someone to help you get some extra clarity, or to be a sounding board for your plans and ideas? Great athletes have coaches, so do great leaders. The right leadership coach for you will result in increasing your performance and dramatically increase the results you achieve. Errol is an experienced leadership coach, award-winning author and entrepreneur, and pastor. He has interviewed over 60 of the most influential Christian leaders from around the world for the Rising Generation Leadership podcast, and uses his unique insights, leadership experience, and his passion for the gospel to coach Christian leaders and help them to discover the clarity, confidence, and competence they are looking for. If you're ready to go to the next level, leverage Errol's experience and extensive network of contacts to help grow your ministry or support you in your personal and professional development. To experience the power and benefit of Errol's coaching, contact us now to arrange a free 30-minute strategy session that will help you to understand exactly what your next step needs to be. Email admin@errollawson.com right now to schedule your call.
At this stage now, I know you've invested in lots of property. Training Kings is taking off for different branches opening up around the UK. How do you now define success at this stage in your journey?
How do I define success? I guess the basic definition of success would be having goals and then achieving those goals. That is very straightforward. That would be success. As a Christian leader, success is also being obedient to God. It's not all about results. Jeremiah, was he successful? Didn't have a large following. He didn't achieve what he set out to because he was trying to tell people to repent, tell people to change their ways. Nobody did. But was he successful? Yeah, because he was being obedient to God. So I think as a Christian leader, being successful is about having goals and doing what you're called to do and walking in that. But then just being obedient to God. I think that would be what success for me.
I think it's John Maxwell that said that success, or the secrets to our success, are hidden in our daily routine. What does the first 90 minutes of your day typically look like? I know it changes all the time, but typically...
On my knees in prayer. No. Probably should be. The first 9 minutes of my day, it varies really from morning to morning. Often networking. I have very early network meetings, so I'll get up and get ready in 10 minutes and be off and having a cooked breakfast and networking with fellow business owners, with Christians, because I'm a strong believer of no man is an island. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So I do a lot of networking, probably maybe 3 times a week. So that would typically be a morning. Read quite a lot. Might just spend sort of half an hour reading, trying to get back into it. I've not done it for a while, but I like to go for a run in the mornings as well. Okay. It varies.
Yeah, okay, it's cool. And what are the other key habits that you've had to develop that have contributed towards your success?
Interesting word, habits. I think if you look at somebody who is very effective and very successful, it's all about it's about habits. Things that are easy to do but incredibly easy not to do are the things that count. So yeah, habits for me. Reading, I read a lot, which is a habit, and I used to be a terrible reader at school, and when I decided that I would start reading, it would take me a month to read an easy read book. And I thought, wow, it takes a month. If I can learn in a month what someone's written, and it's their experience of 10 years experience crammed into a book, and I read it in a month, it's still worth it. So I've been reading for maybe 8 or 9 years now, and that's a habit, really good one. Another habit would be helping people. I believe that you reap what you sow. So in business it's the same, and in all walks of life. If you give value to people, if you contribute and help to others, then that'll come back. So just having a habit of when I talk with people, when I have business meetings, when I'm at events, and I'm speaking to the organisers, how can I help? That's a habit, and that's something that I used to do consciously, and now it's just subconsciously second nature. How can I help? You're putting on an event, how can I help? You've started a new business, how can I help? And that is a philosophy of mine, and I think that's served me well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And what's your biggest weakness as a leader?
Oh, biggest weakness as a leader? I don't know. A weakness is I'm not very organised. But is that a weakness? If you're aware of it and you delegate it, possibly not. I have got a lot of weaknesses, but I tend to either delegate those things or partner with somebody on those things and play to my strengths. I'm very impatient. Again, it can be a good thing because it makes things get done, but it can be a weakness. Perhaps sometimes being overly optimistic about. I can occasionally misread people. I have a chat with someone and I'll say, we got on great, didn't we? He loves me. And my wife's like, no, you really annoyed him. So possibly, I guess if you want to know my weaknesses, ask my wife. she'll give you a bigger list than I'll give you.
And what's your biggest strength?
My biggest strengths? I'm a good communicator, good speaker, and that helps a lot with the nature of what I do. I'm good at bringing people together. I'm very well networked, so if somebody needs something doing. If I can't do it, I'll know somebody that can.
That's great.
So there's some of my strengths.
That's great, man. That's great. And at the beginning of your leadership journey, when you're just starting out in leadership, whether in your property business or Training Kings or in your ministry journey, what was holding you back? If anything was holding you back at all, what was it?
Okay, when I started out with my property business, I bought my first house at 18. I bought 6 more when I was 19. Age of 21, had over £1 million property portfolio. However, in the early days, the thing that held me back with that business was I had a chip on my shoulder, thinking I'm very young. Are people going to take me serious? And I think if it hadn't been for my mentors and people around me that believed in me, that could have crippled me. And now people say, "Oh, it was all right for you because you were really young," but I'm really old. And I think we can always come up with excuses. For me, it was my age. I thought, I'm really young, and just felt uncomfortable with that. But other people thought, brilliant, you're young, that's an advantage. So I think, that was something that potentially held me back. Was that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, to that, I would just say, if anybody else feels that way, get over it. You're in such a time as this, and however old you are, whatever gender you are, whatever race you are, whatever... Just do it.
What about with Training Kings? Was anything holding you back at the beginning of that journey?
Training Kings was a funny one because it just sort of started. I mean, it kind of went from an idea to a reality, and I can't actually remember thinking, this is scary. What happened about? So it just sort of went from an idea, it happened, and now I can't actually remember even starting it. It's just it seems to have always existed.
Momentum.
First meeting January 2014, had the idea. 2013. What held me back with Training Kings? I think when I went into Training Kings, I thought that there'd be certain people who I knew that would be more helpful. I was like, yeah, we're in this together. Let's put on the event, let's do it. Launched it, and those people sort of stepped back and left me on the front line, like David did to the guy he murdered, where he put him on the front line and then told him to step back. That kind of happened with me, really. So I guess that didn't hold me back, that did the opposite. It instilled false confidence into me. I thought, this is going to be easy, team, lots of influential people helping me. Oh, it's just me. Okay, well, I may as well finish what I've started. So that actually probably it was a blessing in disguise. So I don't think anything really held me back. I think nothing.
It's all right. It's all right.
It flew big. It took off well, and no obstacles there.
That's great, man. Who've been if you could name 3 mentors that have had a significant impact in your life, who would your top 3 be?
Top 3 mentors. Jim Rohn. Massive fan of Jim Rohn. He sadly passed away a few years ago. Never met him. I've read an awful lot of his books and listened to an awful lot of his tapes and CDs. Fantastic mentor. Really changed the way I think, the way I see life, my philosophies. Brilliant business mentor. I guess also my parents have been really influential in my life and been spiritual guides, and have always prayed for me, and I would have to say they have. Who else has been influential? Too many to name. Richard Branson's been pretty influential. I love his one of my life philosophies is he wrote a book called Screw It, Let's Do It, and I always not only say that but always just think like that. When we went out to build our well in Zambia, really rural part of Zambia, they couldn't speak a word of English, and they were drinking dirty river water. Terrible. We built this well, and the chief said, "What made you decide to come here of all the places?" And I said, well, a couple of things. Firstly, I said Kubai, which is the name of the village. I said Kubai is obviously in need of water, so that was a reason. And the second reason was, I don't know. I said, just screw it, let's do it. And he went, and he said, what did you say? I said, just do it. And he said, that's really weird. I said, why? And he said, because just do it is the name of the village, Kubai. That's what it means. Really? So I thought, I thought that was God's way of confirming that Richard Branson's statement was true. So yeah, no, Richard Branson, I've heard him speak live and I've read his books and stuff, so yeah.
That's great. Let me dig a little bit deeper into each of those 3 relationships. So first of all, Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've taken from Jim Rohn?
Jim Rohn, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
That's been it's the same wind blows on us all. It's not about the wind, it's about the setting of the sail.
It's great.
Yeah, Jim Rohn.
Brilliant. And then with your parents?
Our parents, I think that their prayers for me have been
what's the best advice they've given you?
Best advice they've given me, that every time I have an idea, a new concept, I'm taking on a new person to the team, I bounce it off my parents.
Okay.
So to say the best advice, I don't think I could answer that, but they're just a rock. They've always been there and always will be. So just a continual guide, really.
Mm-hmm. And Richard Branson, what's the best advice apart from screw it, let's do it? what's the best advice he's given you or you've taken from him? Make
sure that you're having fun in your business. That's really important, and that's something that he does and teaches a lot.
It's great, brilliant, man. Almost done now. What's the one thing you're most fired up about right now? I know you're doing lots of things.
Yeah, what I'm fired up about right now. Okay, I love property investing, and when I started out in business in property, I had no money, I had no experience in property, I couldn't get a mortgage, and within 4 years became a property millionaire, which enabled me to become financially free to do what I love doing, which is Training Kings. What I'm most fired up about now, I've recently, about 12 months ago, started teaching people just like me, but me in the past, how to do exactly that. So I put on every now and then, I put on property investors crash courses, and right now I'm super fired up about that because I've helped several people do the same as what I've done, and there are people now who are financially free who have been able to replace their income so they can stop working and do what they love due to the principles that I've taught them, and that gives me a buzz. So I'm really passionate about teaching people how to invest in property, and yeah, of course, Training Kings is my big calling, my big thing, setting up Christian business networks, and that's fantastic. But just to mix things up, keep it different, I thought I'd mention right now property investors courses.
Brilliant.
Really passionate about, really fired up about.
Awesome, man. Well, tell us more. How do we find out more about what you're doing right now? Is there a website we can go to, or how do people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. The property side of stuff is www.property-investors.co.uk, and that's got information of my courses and workshops. And then Training Kings is trainingkings.co.uk. And then you'll be able to read up more about the Christian Business Network and see what events are going on. And if there's an event near you, come along. If there's not an event near you, let me know and we'll set one up.
Awesome.
and then my own personal page. Obviously, I'm on Facebook, Samuel Leeds, and LinkedIn. But I've got my website is samuelleeds.com.
Awesome. Before you go, just first of all, is there a book or a resource that you recommend to an established or emerging leader that you think will help them along their journey?
There is, yeah. A book that's really changed my life and been a massive support to me and help is a book called The Slight Edge.
Jeff Olson.
Yeah, that's it. Really good book. So if I had to say one book off the top of my head right now, I'd say that one. Fantastic.
Brilliant. And your final parting words of wisdom for a leader who's listening right now?
Yeah, if you're listening now, as I said earlier on, don't over spiritualise things. Just what do you see? What needs do you see? And if you see needs, go and do it. Screw it, let's do it. Do it with God. Be humble, and God bless you. And if you want to talk to me, give me a shout. My details on my website, and we stand with you as young leaders.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for your time today, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for a great interview.
Cheers.
God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us today on the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. I pray you've been inspired, you've been lifted, you've been encouraged to take your personal leadership to the next level. We really encourage you guys to just take action, make it happen, do something, start somewhere, go out and change the world in some way, big or small. Guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share with your friends, share with your loved ones, your colleagues, someone out there you think might benefit from hearing this great content. And if you want some more questions answering, you got a question, email me, errol@errollawson.com. Or if you want a free 30 to 45 minute coaching session with myself around the leadership challenge or issue you're working on in your business, your church, or in your organization, please feel free to email me right away. We'll get you booked in. It's errol@errollawson.com. Thank you again for listening. Go to our iTunes page, check it out, check out the previous episodes. Give us a nice review, that would be awesome. Really appreciate if you could do that for us. We really appreciate you just for being here and listening. Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rising Generation.